So how many people question?
I don't know. Okay, yeah. So my bad. I had when you get a new phone, right? The chat shits and everything's all disabled. So my bad. I thought I was talking to myself. I had people there, but I mean, I saw you guys were there, but I didn't fucking see you. What's up, David? How you doing, Richard? Hold on, I'm trying to get my kickstand out here. I'm trying to get my kickstand out. All right, yeah. So, my bad. I can see you guys now. I can see y'all's comments. What's up, Pat? So, if you guys got some questions, I'm in a talking mood. Go ahead and hit me up right quick. Good. I'm glad to hear, Richard. Seems like I'm gonna have to make some of those soon again for Honda date. Uh, it's coming quick. Coming quick. We're already in February, and it's the beginning of April is when this shit goes down. And I promised to give some stuff away while I was up there. All right, seven people. So we had 14 or 15 last time around, and if people were talking that I didn't see, maybe give them a chance to come back quick. But regardless, at least now I know what the fuck the problem was. So yeah, go ahead, Frank. So at least now I know next time I go to fucking make a live stream, I gotta make sure that my chats are actually enabled. Cause that was awkward. I can imagine you guys seeing questions scrolling or stuff scrolling. I'm like, fuck you guys. You're not gonna talk to me. uh, uh, Frank, it's in a video for. I made a video for that one. For Valtrain. It's when you upgrade your head. I don't deck my blocks, David. I just clean them, and I make sure they're straight. I have a precision straight edge tool to make sure the decks are even and proper before putting the head on. So I clean them, inspect them for damage, clean again, and then I check with a straight edge. Hold on a second there. Uh, shit. Pat, what are you talking about? And can't grow tail. You said what's top speed for highly what? You gotta give me some more info there. High horsepower, like real fucking mile per hours for a real high mile per hour for high horsepower cars. I've seen a lot more than that. I want to say that I've seen over 200 miles an hour or some shit. Like you got to check some of these really fast guys, the ones that are making 7 second passes. Those guys, I think that you have to go out to the ones that are half mile runs, not the quarter mile times. But there's some out there that are running half miles and running really high speeds. 600 horsepower. At 600 horsepower, I couldn't tell you exactly how fast it would go. Generally speaking, I don't have the balls to go over 130 unless I'm in a very competitive race. Then that's the only time I'll really speed past. Generally speaking, if I'm just pulling, I let go around there. I couldn't tell you, Frank. But I want to say that I've seen 200. I want to say that I've seen 200 horsepower or something. Speed Factory. There you go. That David said. Speed Factory has a really fast fucking Honda. Yeah, uh, yeah. Without modifying the transmission, I couldn't tell you what the fucking top speeds are for cars. Timing change, ensure your stock horsepower go OEM. Yeah, generally speaking, guys, like you're never gonna go wrong with OEM. OEM handles a lot more punishment than you would think for a lot of shit. Everybody thinks that you have to go aftermarket, advanced aftermarket. And a lot of times you're upgrading for shit you don't really need to upgrade on. And to be honest, I think OEM's mad expensive, and I use a lot of cheap shit a lot of times. Or whatever. That's fine. It just depends on your personal preference, I guess. 1,000 horsepower Civic, yeah, 1,000 horsepower. I mean, when NA motors are averaging 450 to 500 wheel horsepower, and 700 horsepower is like an afterthought for boosting, 1,000 not that big a deal, I guess anymore. It's crazy. Yeah, world's fastest in a quarter mile. If it did 2:11 in a quarter mile, that's really impressive. I know that most of these guys are making these big, high mile per hours are running half miles. Spoon and Mugen, I don't know whichever you want to call it. I don't care about them. As far as both of those things are concerned, I think it's a personal preference. I mean, I don't think they make anything performance wise, really. I mean, like not to make you go fast. I may be wrong, but as far as I know, Spoon and Mugen are like valve covers and body parts and shit like that. And I would say, I guess if it was for body styling, I guess that if I was gonna spend money on body, it would probably be Spoon and not Mugen. I've never been a fan of what they look like. Patrick, because I've just now started rebuilding these Ks, I'm gonna be using the shit I'm pulling off these engines. To be honest, like I'm hodgepodging a swap together from all of these Ks that I have. Even the oil pump, I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna send it. And normally I don't even like doing that, but I also really don't like spending over $100 for an oil pump, so I'm gonna send it. And then I'm gonna hodgepodge together and fuck out of this engine I'm about to throw in this RSX, and I guess we'll see what it does. Miles, Gringo, Integra runs 200 miles per hour and a half mile. Yeah, see, there you go, 200 miles, half mile. That's where I would expect to see those 200 mile per hour rolls when you're talking about half mile runs. You need a little bit of space to speed up to that kind of speed. Yeah, I would never pay that kind of money for a throttle body. Honestly, like I wouldn't pay that kind of money for an aftermarket throttle body like that at all, unless I was trying to maximize NA. As far as boost goes, I just shove and cram more fucking boost down his throat. Now, the only time I would worry about maxing my as far as bolt-ons go in general, I would never really buy bolt-ons unless I'm going NA. That's it. That's the only time I'm going to do that, because you're trying to maximize your power with every way you can naturally aspirated. So ITBs or big throttle body on a big intake manifold, that would be the shit I would say to do. Any other time, I would just cram more boost, stock parts, more boost. But then again, that's too. Plus, I haven't really ventured too deep into the 500 plus realm. I'm always at mid 400s. So up until now, I'm actually going to deliberately shoot for it. But I guess that things maybe could change up a bit where you need a bit more breathing space and stuff. If you're trying to go well over 500, but a lot of times, a lot of your problems can be fixed for adding power just by throwing more boost at it. So I guess you got a big enough turbo, you don't really need to worry about it too much. So a lot of times when I see people with a turbo car and they're making less than 500 and they got intake manifold, cams, throttle body, I'm like, why? Why did you spend all that fucking money and you're not even making that much power? And 500, yes, 500 is a lot of power, but if you really think about it, 500 horsepower and you're all these bolt-ons and shit, that's kind of crazy, man. I would expect a lot more than that. Please sub the PewDiePie. Ha! Oh shit. You're not from here, guy. Sphinx, what's your build? What are you doing? K Pro versus K Tuner. Does K Tuned make a standalone ECU? As far as I know, they don't. Seeing a G35 throttle body on a stock intake manifold. No, I've never seen that. Yeah, man, that's what I was saying. I did say that about a year or so back. I talked about, the people were like, hey, man, I've got all these bolt-ons. I'm not making power. Like, I'm making this. I'm like, well, a lot of times you can lose power if you upgrade the wrong shit, or if you upgrade and you don't tune. In a route against your device, actually felt a loss of power with a 70. No, I ended up boring out throttle body 67.5, shaving down the plate for a J35, which seemed to be perfect. That's not a bad route to go either, man. The stock throttle bodies have a lot of extra meat on them. If you port match, you'll get some gains there, just because you'll have less turbulence in the intake manifold. So port matching is definitely a big go if you're not making big power. Well, sorry, David, I don't really know anything about K-Tuner, so I guess there you go on that. Low compression, high boost. I was reading on the forum where his engineer was saying it's better to run low compression with a high boost, but wouldn't want to make it slow and low RPM. Okay, so you're probably reading a very old RP, a very old forum. You need to check the date stamp on that. It's probably like 2005, 2008, some shit like that. Nobody recommends. Well, as far as I would say that most recommendations they don't recommend low compression anymore. And I learned this before people started recommending higher compression. Honestly, myself, because why? Because I fucking built the engine that way and it came out with good response. So I've always preached the saying that you want to run near stock compression when you're doing boost. And if it's a naturally low compressed engine, I would say around 10. So if you go to Humble Performance website and you look at their pistons you can buy, they have recommended compressions like 10 5 to 1 or 10 0 to 1 recommended for boost. So you don't want to go really low on compression. Now here's the thing, what happens is a lot of these tuners that were tuning really high boost, that I guess maybe it was a different time back then, the technology wasn't there, tuners weren't as good or whatnot. But if you run really low compressions and you're running high boost, you have a lot more a soft squishy space for mistakes. So yeah, so if you make a mistake or some shit in the tune, it won't be necessarily as costly. Like it won't blow up as easy. So running really low compression with high boost is safer, but yes, it'll cost you power. It will cost you power and it'll cost you responsiveness. So I would say you don't run necessarily high compression. You run standard compression. You run like 10 and change, and you should get really good response that way. You'll get good response in your fucking power band, good response in turbo spool up, and you'll make more power instead of throwing fucking 30 pounds of boost at an 8 to 1 compression. That's crazy. Yeah, Frank's right. There's a video on that. Definitely talked about that. On stock R6 manifold. Oh, Pat. Yeah, I guess Jay. Yeah, I've never seen that. JD, it kind of looks like I missed one of your things. You bought an engine like that, B18 block GSR head. Yeah, you can make that. I mean, if the bottom end is built, I would say you can make that absolutely no problem as long as you have pistons and rod. What's up, Marty? I think it's been a long time since I've seen your name. It's cool to see you pop up there. Fucking yeah, 450, 500 easy as fuck to do on pistons and rods. If you're doing it in a stock block, I wouldn't recommend you go on 350. Mrs. Zero Lag, also a name I haven't seen in a long time. Reliability for D series Vitara before lose reliability. Yeah, that's something I've talked about a whole bunch of times. There, Mr. Zero Lag. I wouldn't say take it over 450. They're proven at 500, but they don't tend to last too long there. So 400, 450, easy power on a Vitara. What's up, Avery? That's cool, Marty. F20B. Yeah, I mean. Oh, okay, Frank. Okay, Frank. Yeah, you're talking about F20B that you wanted to, me to do locally or whatnot. Of course, I'm always down. I guess. Sure. Yeah, DM me. We'll talk about it. Yeah, Mike. I do plan on building a G23 soon. There's a guy I know that has a F23 long block that he said he dropped valves on. So I guess it could be like hit or miss. It depends on if the cylinders are fucked or not. I mean, he's offering it to me for $75, and so the whole idea is to pick that up. But I need to finish tearing these Ks down and getting them out of the way first before I go get that engine block. But yeah, I'm definitely setting aside a set of pistons for that. Yes, George, you're correct. Detonation is what they're trying to avoid. JD, I have a parts video. You can go check that out. But just pistons and rods, whichever pistons and rods you decide to go with, pistons and rods. Baymax. I don't know, man. I haven't seen a lot of G23 period. So when you're saying you see a lot of G23s die at 10,000 miles, I really don't know what to tell you on that one. Mike, what I'm doing about the Integra is I need a battery so I can properly troubleshoot. It's got a quarter tank of bad gas in it, that 3-year-old gas. So I need to get the battery so I can actually cycle the key and have the fucking fuel pump the goddamn gas out for me. Right now, I tried to go start it again this weekend, and it doesn't have anywhere near enough power to crank it. It won't even try to turn it over. So I got to buy a battery. So plus it's been raining nasty on the weekends. Great timing. And so I had to go out there and check between the rainstorms to see if I had juice. But at least with the key forward, it had enough power where I can actually see the gauges and whatnot, and I have a quarter tank. So I drained that quarter tank of fuel, put the new battery, drain the quarter tank of fuel, put in a couple gallons, put in a gallon or so of fucking of 93, and crank it there. If I get lucky, it might be just the bad fuel that was stopping it from turning over, or it could be just the weak battery. So that'll be two things I can check off the list when I go to try and start it again. Maybe it'll turn over, and if not, then I think it might be the distributor that's fucked up. If it's not the distributor, then I guess I'll just check engine codes and go from there. So yeah, the whole idea is definitely to have the Integra running soon. Running is the goal right now. Driving is going to be a whole nother thing. What's up, Arthur? How you doing? That's new face there. I don't think I've seen you before. I can't. I'm not gonna really recommend cams, JD, because I don't really fuck with heads like that. I haven't had nowhere. I've had zero experience with cams personally for me to tell you what ones to use, besides a generic response like, "Oh, stage threes." I would say a stage three at least, because generally speaking, most companies who make stage two cams are generally like Type R reps, because if you got a GSR head, the second stage, I guess, for upgrade for that would be what a Type R is. So I would say stage three if you're gonna grab cams, generally speaking. But I can't tell you which ones are gonna be better than the others because I don't use cams. I just throw boost at it. 3 to 4. I see on the forums, I've seen roughly 3 to 4 that go around them. We had around in a CG6 that go after 4,000. Never figured out what happened to it. I think you'll make a good one. As far as that goes, Frank, 3 or 4 in the forums. I can't really say the forums is the greatest place because those are all years ago. And years ago, you might remember hearing the LSVs and B20Vs were always doomed to fail because they weren't natural or whatnot. So technology changes, time changes, people with tuning ability change, and so I would have to see modern G's and what they go. And like I said, you don't see them too often, so it's kind of hard to make a decision off that. Looking at maybe buying an engine from you, case swap my ES1. How do you sell your engines? Do you have an eBay store or something? I do have an eBay store, but I haven't been using it recently. Although I am planning on posting a block up there, but it's gonna be bare. I sell PayPal, man. PayPal me, all that stuff or whatnot, and then I send it out. I did a build for a guy. I did a B20 high compression B20 for a dude that lives in Oregon. I couldn't tell you what happened to it because that was about a year ago now, and he never got back to me. So for good or for ill or for better or worse, I don't know what happened to the engine. As far as me, I don't do long blocks because long blocks is like freight shipping. I need a pallet. I need to palletize that. That becomes very difficult to do. So what I do is I build short blocks and I sell you the short block because it's like $140, $150 shipping, and I can just pick it up and carry it to FedEx and put it in a wardrobe box, and they do a really good job wrapping it up and sending it out there to where it won't get fucked up. If I was to build a head for you, it would have to be a separate shipping. It would be the head gets shipped in one box, the block gets shipped in another, and then you have to figure out timing on your own. So if you want to buy a block from me, you're gonna get a short block, and then the rest is gonna be up to you. What's up, Barry? Patrick, I've been looking at EP3s because I was thinking about buying one. I've been thinking about buying one for the longest time. They're the lowest one I've seen is 2,500. They're averaging 2,700. The most expensive I've seen recently was a 32, and I think the one that was 2,500 looked better. It was all Type R kitted out, and it was dropped on wheels, and it was all stock inside, which is what I like. I like the stock interior. I don't want none of that fucking bougie ass fucking fake steering wheel and slotted in or whatnot. Yeah. Reverse head H22s. I have not looked into it. I have heard of them. I've seen them even, but I've not looked into it. What's up, Alex? I don't really fuck with the ZC. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be good for anything, but I've seen it for me personally. I've seen it as a useless engine, which is why Honda didn't stick with it. It's might as well just have a regular single cam. $500 for shipping. Arthur, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not 500. It's like $140. Those integrators are 90s. Honda has ASD problems where the solder point is cracked. reflow, and they should work. Thanks, since I'm going to do a swap. Yeah, yeah, find a complete engine. Yeah, dude, you can go to the junkyard and grab a K24 or whatnot. It's not a big deal. Yeah, anti-rice for real. Dude, honestly, for me, depending on the chassis, but for the majority of the most part, you know, dropped on wheels. That's about it as far as car decoration goes. And then the rest of it, I like OEM modifications. I like, swap this OEM steering wheel for that OEM steering wheel. Put this OEM wing on the car, stuff like that. I mean, as far as aftermarket like body bolt-ons that you'll see for me, it'll just be a lip, if even that. As far as steering wheel goes, I guess I'm not against just, aftermarket steering wheels personally, like overall, but there are particular ones that I would get, and they're expensive. So generally speaking, I wouldn't even really fuck with it. I would, get an Integra and get a newer SI steering wheel put on it or something like that. And I hate these EP3 owners and these RSX owners who take those beautiful steering wheels out and they put these fucking $80 eBay shits on there. They're disgusting. Yes, I would build a V8. The only thing that keeps me from building that shit right now is I can't lift it by myself, and I have no shop, so I would have to use a hoist to put it on an engine stand and tear it down. And I would need a shop or a garage before you'll ever see me do a V8. I tried when I was up north. I had a truck that was fucking up on me, so I decided to pull the engine, and I did. And I was going to tear it down and rebuild it, but I couldn't get the engine into my workshop because for some reason the design of the house was fucking retarded, and there was a grass gap between the shop, there was also a garage, and the rest of the house. So I got all the way to the edge of the grass with the engine, and I couldn't get it the extra 15 steps to get into my workshop to tear it down. So it never happened. I wound up actually leaving it there and moving, so I'm a piece of shit, I guess. But I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't move it. So I'm definitely down for building a V8 in the future, but I just got to be able to pick it up, or I got to be able to put it in a place where I can maneuver it to an engine hoist. I can pick up these 4 cylinders no problem, man. But even the V6s from the Honda I can pick up, but the V8s are just way too much. It's way too much fucking meat. I couldn't even budge it. It was ridiculous. Hellcats, ooh, that's crazy. That sucks. I didn't look at that part. That sucks to hear. Yeah, interior, exterior, all OEM. I don't like aftermarket shit unless it has a real purpose. Suicide CRX and Slower and Two. I guess those are other YouTubers out there. Suicide CRX sounds familiar. I want to say that I may have seen that. Honestly, I don't know how. I mean, just whatever. I mean, I'm down for. I like doing all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, me personally, I don't think. Lip, yeah, I'll do a lip. Like I said, that as far as that'd be the only thing that you'd see me do would be a lip. Type R or Mugen. Oh, slower than you. Nah, I didn't know about that. I guess. What I think one thing I need to do too is there's some YouTube channels I need to catch up on. I think I need to watch some Honda vlogs, back videos and shit, and check out what's going on because I've been out of touch. Getting adjusted to this new schedule I'm working on with the 4 10-hour shifts has kind of been rough. As a matter of fact, when I get off the live stream, I did sleep 8 hours last night, but I got to work at 9 o'clock tonight. So generally speaking, on Sundays I like to go back to sleep for a couple hours to try and get a head start on the sleep schedule and whatnot. So when I wake up and go to work, I'll be fresh. Because if I stay awake now, and by the time I get back home, I will have been awake for 24 hours, and that's not good. So, and I've been having some trouble with insomnia. Although I think that's not going to be a problem this week because the VA just upped my dosage on medication that I've been fucking with, and that shit knocks me out pretty quick. As a matter of fact, I popped some right at the beginning of this live stream. I'm starting to feel it now. JD, the Vitara build numbers from the Vitara build, it was like the very first video I ever uploaded on this channel. I didn't run it. The guy did. Of course, I sold it to. He made 420 horsepower on his Vitara, but he also had a very small turbo. So if you get the proper size turbo, like, you can make all kinds of power. But like I was saying earlier in the video, 500 horsepower Vitaras can do 500, but they don't tend to last too long up there. So mid to low 400s, and you should have a long lasting Vitara. Madi, as far as clutches go, man, I kind of like grab whatever and just kind of test what it's been. Like I've used Yanaka, like a Stage 3 Yanaka, or Yanaka, whatever you want to call them. And I think I've used an XCD clutch before. Here's the thing, too, guys, man. I'll think a bunch of problems. It's something I was thinking about talking about in its own separate videos. A lot of the problems that we have in the community is that people don't tend to keep their project cars very long, even if they get them running. I would say a good 50% of project cars get sold before the project is complete, and I would say out of the remaining 50%, uh, I would say another 40% gets sold within a year of them running. We're all finicky people. We like to build, race it a little bit and get rid of it. So here's a problem with that. When you have a car that you've invested in like that and you don't keep it too long, it's kind of hard to say what parts last for a very long time. To me, to be honest, right here, guys, the longest I've ever had a Honda was a year and a half. I've never kept. No, I'm lying. My Del Sol I had for 2 years, and that swap I had for about 4 years, I think. So that was the longest I've ever had a car, and that's a pretty long stretch. So it's kind of hard to tell like what's good and what's not sometimes if you're not putting a couple years of investment into running and testing it like that. How you doing, Barry? Uh, YK, dude, I would 100% would smoke instead. It's better for sleep and yeah, and for muscle relaxation and all that shit, dude. The only reason why I don't smoke right now is because I drug test, and even if I could get medically permitted, I'm not 100% sure how to fly with my company, and I'm not ready to leave the company unless I'm running VHV engines 100%. Like that's the only way I'm leaving Ryder is if I'm 100% dependent on VHV engines paying the bills. I'm years away from that happening, so. I'm years away from being able to smoke legally unless the entire country goes legit. Sucks, man. Because I mean, of course, I used to smoke when I was a teenager and shit. When I was in high school and stuff, man. And I was never a heavy smoker. I've never been. It doesn't take me much to get to what I need. I just can't. I can't do it and risk the job. I make too much money at that place to have something like that get me fired. And it has happened. There was a kid who got fired earlier last year. He got fired because he got caught smoking. Frank, I'm trying to read this here on. I've managed to go from an 8 second 60 foot to a 6.2 with just a throttle body intake and exhaust and already there. Well, you also got to think how much time you've had on the track too. Your own reaction time is going to play a response in that. And you could drive a car faster than me, most likely. So I've had zero seat time in the last decade. So if I go to the car, if I jump in your car and run it on the track, I'm going to make less time than you are. It doesn't necessarily mean you're upgraded to doing it. It could just be you. Your reaction time is getting better. 05 Civic has been in a project car since I got it, and I'm never going to get rid of it. Yeah, that's Avery. That's kind of the same way I felt with the Integra. I've had it. This is the longest I've ever toted a car around. I've had that shell for fucking years, so I'm dedicated to 100%. I don't want to get rid of it. I'd rather see it run. And but I realize now that I definitely fucked myself with that. I shouldn't have done this shit that I did. I should have left it as is. It was a very big mistake that I thought I was going to have more time to play with, and now I'm feeling the pressure to finish it, and there's just so many issues that need to be worked out. But who knows, man? Things should always change. You never know. I might. Who knows? Maybe I'll get the engine running, get it, broke in, and then fucking decide to swap shells out again. Who knows? I don't know. Not saying it's gonna happen. Anything's possible. 20 horsepower for those 3 mods. I mean, it's possible. 20 horsepower is possible, but I mean, unless you actually put on the dyno to see, you're not gonna know for sure. Just because a company says you're gonna get horsepower doesn't necessarily mean you are. Yeah, I know. Yeah, dude. Y8 manifold would be the only one I'd run. Run that. It's fine. Better looking anyway than that ugly, weird, stunted bullshit that Honda did. Hey. So yeah, I would like to, because I've always said that if I get at least 10 people in around in a live stream, I'm willing to do them more often. Um, I still get a steady amount of questions asked, and I would like to be able to do something like, there's a couple of channels I follow that does this. They do like weekly podcasts. They talk about a specific topic they're going to talk about on the podcast, and at the same time, the later half of the podcast is answering questions. So maybe if it doesn't work right now, but in the immediate future, I would like to get doing that. Once the channel gets around like 10,000 subscribers or whatnot, because the amount of DMs that add up and the amount of questions that pop up in YouTube comments, maybe I can start getting to the point where I'll make a podcast where I'll have something I'll be able to talk about weekly, or maybe like earlier when I made the RSX video, the live stream earlier where I had a couple things to talk about that weren't really important. It gives me a chance to be able to talk about it in a setting that is relevant, because it's not something that if you come across you're like, oh, I'm really interested to watch this, but at least it's something I can talk about while I'm giving the live stream chance to fill up with people so that way I can answer questions. Recommend OEM manifolds or aftermarket. Like I said earlier in the video, Frank, dude, I don't do bolt-ons at all unless I'm going to stay NA. JD, no, I don't really do rebuilds or trainings right now. I have done them before, only a couple, and it's something I would like to do in the future. But I'm a long ways off from making that a regular thing, dude. I have my hands full with engines right now. But I know a couple of guys that do training work on a regular. But then again, see, that's a good thing with me and my power levels not being really lofty. I don't really have high power goals, like, or super high power goals, so it's easier for me to build things because I don't have to worry about spending that extra money on that shit. MR2 Sentra engine from Wrecking Yard. It says imported from Japan, has 50,000 miles. Yeah, dude, that 50,000 miles is probably just a guess. It's a guesstimate because they consider how many miles that people average in their cars yearly or whatnot. There's no guarantee it's gonna be 50,000 miles. My say on the MR2 or whatever your Sentra engine you're gonna get, if it's less than $500, grab it. Or if it's 500 or less, grab it. Or close to that range. I wouldn't pay anything more than that. What's up, Adam? Shit, I feel like I missed part of your shit there. Nope, didn't. That's it. Auto shutdown relay, because if you can't get an Integra started, it would be worth checking. Well, look, see, guys, the reason why I'm saying, I already have a very strong idea of what my problems with the Integra are. So that's why I'm saying I'm not trying to fucking throw out things. There's a lot of these channels on here where you have guys out there that don't really know what the fuck they're doing at all. And they're just throwing shit out there and be like, guys, what do you think? Please help. And I'm not trying to say that I'm fucking smarter than you guys. But at the same time, too, like, it sucks. It's kind of aggravating to have my fucking notifications and shit blow up with people like, everybody getting into competition trying to suggest shit to me. I'm not fucking stupid, guys. I didn't build a fucking channel here to try and beg you guys for help. This is me showing you guys what I'm doing. And it's like, oh, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. Like, dude, I've already considered everything that you're talking about. So it's not me trying to be cocky here or anything. It's just aggravating to see my phone go broom, 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 and it's just a whole bunch of people throwing their fucking input in there randomly. That day I was cranking the fucking engine over. I did not expect it to start. I had zero intentions of actually getting that car running that day. I just wanted to see it turn over under power, and that's it. Just to show you guys, this is where I'm at. We're turning over under power. But that was apparently that was an invitation for every fucking home mechanic to come out here and throw their ideas in what they thought what it was. Alex, I don't have any fucking real cars to drive daily right now, dude. I haven't had a real car in like 4 years. My fucking daily's a Sonic. You want to see pulls in an automatic Sonic that makes 130 wheel horsepower? If I had a car that was capable of of getting some views, don't you think I'd be doing that already? No, I don't leave the timing covers on my B series engines. People say, "Oh, you're crazy," but I don't give a shit. No timing covers, man. Why? Because if you need to go back in there and change something later on, it just gets in the way. You got to do a lot more work to get those off. So yeah, it may look a little cleaner with the timing covers on, but it's not practical for me. Avery, I can't tell you shit about an automatic car, dude. I don't fuck with them. They're the devil. That Chevy Sonic is garbage. They you actually do make a turbo variant of that car, but I don't have the turbo variant. When I think it was like 2015, we needed a car like bad because every one of my cars took a shit at the same time. Back then, I had multiple cars. But now I don't. Just have the fucking Sonic, the one I hate, but it's the most reliable. So when we went out to go buy a car, it was like, hey, look, we got shitty fucking credit and we got this much money. And then the guy was like, all right. And he looked at my wife. My wife's like 4'9". He's like, so he just went out in the lot and found a car that was affordable that had an adjustable seat. So that's why we had the Sonic. We didn't even pick it out. Dude went and picked it for us. He went and grabbed it, drove it up. He's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, fucking drives, right? Let's get that. Yeah, Adam, me too. I want to get the Integra done as well, man. Like, trust me, I really want the Integra to be fucking running, running fine under its own power by Honda Day. Just because I'm gonna go face these fucking guys, I'm gonna meet them, the guys from CSS and Jesse and them who did all this for me, and I want to be able to have, some review like, hey, look, man, your shit's running. It's a shitty circumstance. I have a shitty shell that I put it in. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day. It comes down to I was broke for a very long time, so that was a big problem. I have money now, but then it's the shell is the issue. Marty, yeah, I do plan on doing live streams regularly again. As long as I have this amount of feedback, I'm down to do it. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you putting me up there with Humble. I really do. Those guys are real as fuck. Really real. I think especially Kenny. Kenny keeps 100% with everybody. Shifty Boy Wonder. I have go search VHV engines on YouTube. Search VHV engines B20V conversion or whatnot. It's there. I ain't got no damn boogers, man. Why you lying? Why you lying, dolls? Yes, Frank is correct. This is a niche channel. You're not going to really find anybody else on YouTube like this. And I think there's a lot of people who looked at this channel at the very beginning and said, there's no way in hell this will ever grow. This is garbage. This is bullshit. But this is the thing. At the end of the day, I provide shit that nobody else does. So I was lucky enough to fall into a gap and it worked. Yeah, it'll get there. 100% sure it'll be done before summertime. I know that once I actually get the damn thing to turn on and runs, that'll give me a huge, big spike in motivation, and then it'll be easier for me to go out there and finish the little things that it needs done. Plus, once daylight saving time is back, is finished, and we get 8 o'clock in the night sunsets again, then it'll be a lot easier for me to get shit done. When the sun's going down at 5 o'clock and I wake up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, who's gonna wake up, roll out of bed, and go straight out to working on the car? Nobody. Nobody's doing that. Especially when you just spent a whole week working. JD Sphinx. No, I don't have that. But that's not a bad idea, man. That's actually shit. Technical difficulties. That's not a bad idea, man. See, the thing is, on my Facebook page for what's that shit called for VHP engines, I don't think that I have it where people can make public posts because there's a lot of people who do talk shit to me, and the last thing I want to be doing is have to go through and police and people who are just trolling. So, but yeah, dude, that might be something I consider doing. I mean, I'm sure there's a million Facebook pages out there where it's like show your ride or whatnot, but maybe something I could do later on. Maybe next time I do a live stream, we'll talk about that in more detail and see how many people are interested in some shit like that. Maybe I'll make one. Honda Fit, Arthur. Let me tell you something real quick, dude. And my bad if I'm taking a while to get to this. You guys are throwing stuff up there, and I'm kind of like scrolling back after I talk. I would love to get a Honda Fit. I've been in love with the Honda Fit since it came out, since it debuted. And I think it was in 2008 or right around that time. Because I remember right when I joined the Army is when I seen those things come out. And I was like, I love that car. I fucking want that car. I would definitely love to get a Honda Fit in the future. And you can bet your ass that if I get one, that I'm going to modify it. I would love to have one. Oh, thanks, Shifty. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, of course, I have a couple of plans on a personal daily and shit. Who knows? I guess what it could be. I have 2 cars out there right now. I have two cars out there right now, and I guess I could alternate between the two. The whole idea is me and my wife work alternating shifts, and it would be nice if I had something else on the weekend. I don't have to rely on getting having her, because I would like to be able to sleep and not have to take her to work and pick her up, shit like that to keep the car. Top five videos, YK. I elaborate a little bit. I don't know what you're saying. Make more top fives. Well, thanks, Frank. I appreciate that. Yes, haters will always hate, and I have no doubt that I will continue to get hate. Especially the more I grow, the more people are going to talk shit about me. It's fine though. I'm trying to overcome the negativity, woo-saw, and ignore. Mm, yeah, the fit's awesome, dude. The fit's a great car, great little car. I kind of like the early generations over the newer ones. I think they rounded them out a little bit too much. I like the older ones. Mm. Yeah, the my thing was the problem. The only thing I think the only big problem with the fit was I don't know if it still stands this way, but I know that when they came out, like you had to run two ECUs to run the fit properly. Like if you did a K swap, then like your dash instruments and shit wouldn't work. So you have to find a way to run the fit ECU to have your dash functional, and run something for the K20 for the engine management. But see, this is why I say, like I've said a bunch of times too before, I'm not a pioneer. I like to follow people. So it's been what 8 years since that car has dropped. So I'm pretty sure that when the time comes, that I'll have somebody go look at it and be like, "Hey, look, this is what he did to get this to work," and I can do that. Yeah, that's cool shit, Adam. Yeah, man. Oh God. The only problem is, man, is like it fucking sucks. Like my life took a weird turn. I've done so many different projects before and built so many different cars. I never filmed anything. I took pictures. I had a couple daily drivers that I built from scratch before, and just and keep them in the last car. I mean, when I very first started the channel, I had a car that I was running, and I was troubleshooting that. When I was having my problems when the car wouldn't stay on and shit. And then as soon as I got the car where it was stable and ready to tune, like the car was stolen. So I would have had that EK. I would have had my EG sedan as the fucking channel car for the longest time. B20V built, but it just didn't turn out that way. And I moved and I was gone for 2 years, and in the 2 years I wound up losing a lot of money, and I guess it just that's. But at the same time too, this channel would have never become what it is had that not happened. So do I lose a channel car? Yeah. Is it taking a long time? Yeah. But at the same time, I would have never found my niche, and you guys wouldn't probably even know about me, because I would have continued to not get views, because I would have got lost in a shuffle of a million other people who have project cars that you see doing pulls on YouTube. I mean, it's great. That's awesome stuff. I'm not saying I hate against it, but for me, watching other people do pulls in cars, it got to a point where it wasn't cool anymore. Same thing I said with David Patterson, and I'm not saying anything bad about that guy. That guy is the guy. There's a reason why I eventually got to YouTube. He was the first channel I ever subscribed to. He's the reason why I built the channel. As in, like I had a channel that was stable because I wanted to subscribe, and then I went from there. But it just got to the point where, yeah, he's talking about fast cars. Yeah, he's driving fast cars, but it's pretty much the same shit every single video. So that's why I kind of got away from it. So for me to build a car like, oh, my 400 horsepower Integra or 500 horsepower Integra pulls, how many times are you gonna watch those videos before it's like, okay, it's fucking boring and you want to see something different? You know, you'll get a lot of views, but it's gonna be people who don't really subscribe to you that are just passing through randomly seeing on there. But I'd like to build a community, and I don't think that just having a fast car alone is going to be the. And now, I guess the other thing would be like, oh, well, if you have a fast car, at least it'll prove what you do when you're built. But the thing is, I built fast cars for other people. I don't own the cars, but there's those engines are in other people's car, and they were doing fine. So I don't see why it doesn't still have the same effect. But people who generally just don't like something or don't like someone, they will always find a way to try and invalidate. So there's nothing really I can do about that. I just keep talking, and if you watch if you want to watch, and if you don't want to, that's also cool. It's not a big deal. Alright, so let's read this Facebook page only for us, because I mean, like you said before, there's a lot of shitters. Still blocked in, lead path, bro. Yeah, that's definitely something I could look into doing. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate it, Frank. Notice YouTubers, their top 5 or top 3 videos, for example, top 5 ways to do whatever or check whatever. They have the most views. Yeah, but I don't. The top 5 or top 3 of what topic though? I don't know what to say. Uh, yeah. I mean, Adam, of course, as far as merchandise goes, in my shirts and hoodies. But like I said, my system, I don't have a website where you can go and the model's preset for you to order from. The only way I can get you merch is you have to come and ask me, and then pay for it, and then I got to go out to my wife's shop and have them make it and send it to you. It's a long process, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass. I would like to get there eventually one day, and yeah, I guess I could do something with moderators. But I think that if I were going to do like a post your ride type deal, we can have a discussion about that. I would have to make it. It would have to be a separate thing from the VHP engines page. I wouldn't want to get my messages for you guys mixed up with in the mess of a bunch of cars being shared. Not that I have a problem with that, of course, but I just think every place has its own, or everything should be in its own place or whatnot. Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate that. Tech Day. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Emily. All right. Yeah, you know what? I kind of talked about it in my New Year's resolution video. I'll talk about it real quick, just to give a summary what the hell was. Okay, so way back in the beginning days, which I guess wasn't very long ago, just a couple years back now, or a year or so, a year and a half or so like that. Right around the same time I was making my H series playlist, I had a lot of people. Actually, even further back than that, my first discussion topic video. How much horsepower stock indefinitely. I had a lot of people that kept coming to my channel, and they only came to the channel just to disagree with the things I was saying. And eventually, what happened was that Booster Boys fans, I guess, being nature of the beast, Honda topic, they rolled over into my shit, and they kept. So many people kept coming and telling me, "Well, Booster Boys doing this, Booster Boys doing this, Booster Boys doing this." So you're wrong. They were telling me that. And then right around the same time, they did one of their H22 builds, and I think they had an issue with one of their injectors starving, and the engine blew up. But it happened to be like 1 week after I said something like that would happen, and I talked about that. I made it, I was like, fucking, this is what happens. You guys come in here constantly telling me this shit, and then boom, they blow up an engine. Now, the thing is, the problem was I didn't really look into it too much. I didn't really look into it too much to see what was up there. I was just frustrated at the time, and I was lashing out at the fans. I never had a problem with them in particular. I think that some of the shit they've done is pretty cool. Now, whatever other side drama they have surrounding their channel, I've got nothing to do with that. I've never been a big fan of them, so whatever. That's just between them and their fans. But I was getting bombarded constantly by their fan base, and it drove me crazy. And I said that. And then when I said that, those people went back and told Kyle, and then Kyle fucking caught wind of it, and Kyle came back and started talking shit. Not really talking shit, I guess. I didn't really watch his response. I just heard about it. And so what happened was that, kind of led to a little bit of a beef there. And it was like, well, then I had people nowadays telling me, like, why you didn't talk to him directly? I was like, because at the time I had, like, maybe 700 subscribers or maybe 1,000. And at the time, Booster Boys had 250K. So yeah, little YouTubers hit me up all the time. And while I do engage and I talk to people, I could understand and see, like, as me going and trying to talk to them, how they would have just ignored me. So I never said anything to them. So it wasn't like I was trying to sneak this behind their back. I wasn't big enough to be noticed. And it turns out that I wasn't too small to be noticed. And it just kind of led to a misunderstanding between the two of us. And Kenny over Humble Performance is, of course, a friend of theirs. And he got shit squashed between us. Like, he pointed out some shit that I said that was wrong. And I was like, well, this is the reason why I said what I said. And he's like, I can understand where you're coming from, but this is why you're wrong. And then, so I went to it, and I admitted fault. I deleted that video, and I went and I apologized. And then a month or so later, he hit me back up, and he's like, we're cool. I'm like, all right, so that's cool. I don't want no beef with anybody on YouTube. That's a good way to stunt your growth. I was pissed off originally because I had people that were attacking me from the channel that wasn't even him. Now imagine if I have a whole bunch of people in the YouTube community that are just constantly picking shots and taking shit, and I'm hitting me like a fucking pinata. I'm not trying to have that happen. I think that there's big enough space for all of us, and I don't see any need to beef. So the whole thing was there wasn't never really a real beef between me and them. It was just the fact that it was just me and his fan base. But that was, that was all before, and ever since then, I kind of regretted that shit ever happened, and I'm really happy that Kenny happened to be the go-between to make that work again. And I got no problem with admitting things when I'm wrong. I just didn't want to come out to be like a straight asshole. Like, hey, I wasn't blindly attacking, and I wasn't really wrong with what I was saying. I was just wrong about the situation because I didn't know the whole situation. So that was how it got squashed. So it's fine. And now there's a good chance that I'm going to wind up meeting up with him later on in the year at World Cup. Because I am going to Honda Day, the first Honda Day in April, and I'm going to go to World Cup later on at the end of the year. See, I'm going to scroll up here real quick to see what I missed. Thank you, NC. Name's Chris. Yeah, so appreciate that. Well, that'd be cool, Adam. I'd appreciate that, I guess. Or shit, you can send me stuff and I can give it away. That's cool, as Mr. Zero Lag, dude. Yeah, I understand that there's always gonna be a desire for people to watch those kind of videos, but there are so many people making those kind of videos. So why would I need to do it too? Like, go watch them, and then you can watch me for what I make. We don't have to all do the same thing. As a matter of fact, I had another guy who's recently trying to make a YouTube channel. He's got like 4 or 5 videos, and he's like, doing builds or whatnot. And I'm like, well, you gotta understand, like you have to, like, when you're asking for help for growth in audience, you come to me. If you don't have any subscribers and you barely have any content, how can I recommend you? People are not gonna really watch it. Maybe when I recommend a video or recommend a channel, I'll have like 200 people that'll watch the video, and like maybe 2 or 3 of them will go check out that channel, and then they'll see that there's no content or that there's no subscribers. They're not going to stick around. So you got to build yourself. You got to find your niche, find something that you can bring to YouTube that nobody else has or isn't covered very often. Grow your own little channel first, your own little society, your own little group, and then build your content out, and then you can go from there. So when I see the people doing videos like that, racing all the time, and you see there's a bunch of channels that have a lot of views, and there's a bunch of channels that have 0 views or very low. They're doing the exact same thing. So I think that when it comes time for me to do my racing videos, and it will come time eventually because this channel grows, that it'll be met with a better reception than if I would have started off that way. Because I've built an audience based off something that not a lot of people do, and probably none in the Honda community, or at least none that make a focus of it. And then so that way when I go to add some extra shit, like, oh, and I do racing videos, then it'll be met with better reception, I think. Honda Stream? I don't even know what that is, dude. Madi, I would love to build a Lude. A 4th Gen Prelude is one of my favorite cars, actually, and I like the 5th Gen a lot too, but there's only so much I can do. If I ever get to the point where I have a lot of property, I will buy every car that I see that's cheap, and I will park them on my lot, and I will get to them eventually. Well, that's cool to hear, Adam. Yeah, Frank, that would be awesome if people would just say, hey, where do I find the info? Yeah, search. Well, as far as it comes for channel content, at least. That's cool to hear. Yeah, it was miscommunication. That's all it was. Yeah, Emily. So if you were around back in the day, then yeah, that was pretty funny because everybody was like, "Oh, well, you can do this, you can do that," and I'm like, "It's gonna blow up. It's a matter of time." And then a fucking week later, it popped. Now, I would, it was funny coincidence at the time, but to be honest, it wasn't anything to do with a bad build. If it was a clogged injector, that's like an act of God type deal. It wasn't anything to do with what they did. You know, but it was funny though. It was funny at the time. Yeah. Well, the thing is, man, is my Alex. What the problem is when I tell people what you can and can't do. I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that things are impossible, which is why I tend to change what I say now. I'm not saying you can't do this, but you know, when I talk to you guys about building engines, I talk to you about guys about building engines that should last. I don't want to tell you anything that's going to cause you to blow up soon or whatnot. So when I say 350 horsepower on a stock B series, people are like, well, you're fucking crazy. Well, this guy's made 450. I'm like, yeah, dude, you can make it, but how long is it going to last? That's why I tend to say the things I say. It's not. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, like the other day, you know, speaking of Kenny from Humble again, the other day, right? We were talking about, and the whole example of a K series came up. And I was like, well, yeah, it's like when you tune a 500 horsepower stock K engine and you tune it back down to 450 to save it. And then he was like, well, we do that to save the transmission. I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, too, just because the K series can hit 600 horsepower on the dyno and make that for a while doesn't mean it lasts too long. And when you make a mistake, the rod goes through the block. And that's just how that is, man. So a lot of times that's why what you can make versus what you can sustain. That's why I say the things I say. And a lot of people that in the beginning just weren't making the difference there. I'm telling you, you can only do 350, and people are saying that's impossible. You can do 450. You're a liar, and they're just missing the point. Huh. Trinidad? How you doing, John? Nah, I didn't reenlist. Obviously, full beard. No, I'm still thinking about it. I still think about it, but you know, it was never really the thought wasn't really to go. Well, it was for a little while to go active again, but right now I'm making a lot of money. So, and of course I got the place to live, so I don't have to worry about doing active duty anymore. But I would like to re up for the reserves. But the problem is if I go back to the reserves right now, they're talking about I need to do like 4 to 6 weeks of re-entry training, which is like it's a prior service basic training type deal where I'll have to go up to like Fort Bliss or whatnot and go up and do that. And if it takes me 4 to 6 weeks, that's a problem because I'm the lead of my shift right now, and we can't sacrifice any people from the shift, and especially not the guy that's going to be in charge. So I wouldn't be able to do that until the shift fills out more. We need more bodies, and right now I'm not going to risk any trouble with the main job just for the weekend warrior pay, which isn't much. The main reason why I even consider still doing the reenlistment for reserves is because I have my GI Bill that's not completely used, and I'm probably not going to use it. So I would like to give it to my wife. I mean, I served for that time, so I would like it not to go to waste. And if my wife could use it to make money, or who knows, maybe even pass it to one of my kids. But anyway, that's the whole idea. Apparently, when I was told about changing my GI Bill over, they were saying I have to be active to do that. So I would have to be at least in the reserves to be able to swap it over. Hunter Tunes, Emily, I don't know. I've seen some of his videos pop up in suggestions, but I haven't watched any. I like EM2s also. I'd like to do that someday in case swap one. Yeah, Emily, I think you're right. It was. I know it was. I know that what caused their engine to go was an injector failure. Now, what caused the injector failure, I'm not sure whether it was plugged or like you said, with the wire. But yeah, from what I understand, it detonated because of an injector failure. All right, Frank. Peace out. Oh, good point there, Avery. Touche, sir. Touche. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I really don't care. Like I said, I got no beef with either way. But either way, I'm okay to meet these guys. Like if I meet Kyle, that'll be great. Just because, like I said, I want to meet as many of these guys as I can and be cool with as many as possible because you never know when opportunity knocks like that. And this is what I've always said. I'd like to have a network. I think that we shouldn't. There's enough space in the world for all of us. I don't think we need to compete with each other. I think that we should all grab fucking hands and have a giant chain so that way if we need something we can always be able to reach out to each other, not to worry about criticism or ridicule or anything like that. So whatever the case for that engine failing, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And it doesn't matter how good of an engine builder you are, eventually you're going to have an engine blow up on you for whatever reason, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. I was a 91 Bravo. I was a mechanic. Go figure, right? No, I don't do ECU work. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, we're all car lovers. You know, I don't think we should have any problem. All right, well, we are less than 30 seconds out away from a full hour, so I'll take whatever last questions you guys got, and then if anything, I will schedule another live stream next weekend, and we can do this again. See how it works out. Yep. Alrighty, guys. So that's it. That's a wrap.